Hello, friends, and welcome to Sleuth Studies, the Hardy Boys podcast. This is your host, Kira Drogue, signing on for another episode of exploration, adventure, fun, and, dare I say it, mystery. In today's episode, we'll chat with special guest Atticus Mitchell and get a unique insider look at the 2020 Hardy Boys TV series, the process of bringing the show to life, the acting industry in Canada, and just how an off-script injury ended up becoming a memorable scripted moment. Friends, I am honored to be joined today by actor, musician, composer, and all-around wonderful human being, Atticus Mitchell. Atticus played the delightful master spy, J.B. Cox, in the most recent Hardy Boys TV series. In addition to his role in the Hardy Boys, Atticus is also featured in a number of series, including Law & Order Toronto Criminal Intent, Transplant, Star Trek, Fargo, My Babysitter's a Vampire, and many, many more. Atticus won the 2015 Canadian Film Festival Award for Best Actor in a Short Film for his work on the short film Iris, and his music, under his artist name Atticus Dean, is available to enjoy on Spotify and other streaming platforms. Well, Atticus, it is so wonderful to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I have seen this show too many times to count at this point. Also because I am working on I got invited to write an academic chapter about the TV series and how you can integrate it into university classrooms.
What?
My life is insane, man.
That's so cool. How does the Hardy Boys have this much? Have these legs? This is great.
Right? Let me tell you, I spend a lot of my word count talking about JB. Actually, it's good
no
fun.
way.
This
fucking guy, I swear.
Do I have a favorite character? Maybe
I
do. I can't admit it, but maybe I do.
Strike that from the record.
Oh man, well I guess I'll get us started. So I'm always curious to know what your history is with the Hardy Boys. Was it something that, like books that you read as a kid? Was it something that, this opportunity came up and you're like, oh, let's find out a little bit about that. What did that look like for you?
Oh, I see all of the books behind you on the shelf. You have,
yes.
It looked like multiple copies of every single book.
Not quite every single, but there's a whole bunch of different versions. They were actually like rewritten in the 50s. So I've been working my way through a collection.
There's thousands of books behind you, but it's a very, very familiar image to me growing up because, we grew up with the same thing. I think my mom read them when she was little, and she had all of her, I don't know if they're like first edition copies or whatever, but kind of raised me and my brothers on a multitude of different IPs through film and television and books. But yeah, the Hardy Boys was one of them that my older brother really dove into. Like he was the super fan. He read all of them, I think multiple times, front to back. And I think I only ever read a couple because I was never a huge reader. I just kind of went with like the trends of what a lot of other people were reading, and I would go off on my own and then discover other things. I don't really know, but I didn't read much. So my personal connection to the Hardy Boys is actually really just one of like, wow, this is actually a really cool full circle moment for like my mom and my brother, like vicariously through me. I'm like their vessel to access.
Oh my God,
the modern.
I'm trying to imagine like you getting to phone your mom and be like, so guess what?
Yeah, guess what show I'm in? And then her question is just like, oh my God, that's so exciting. Are you playing Frank? And I was like, oh, right. I should have jumped in and been like asterisk right before I go into this. No, I'm playing that character that we love from the books, JB. And she was like, well, who's that? I'm like, I don't think he's in the books. So yeah, it was elation, but then like, oh well, we'll see how that goes. I guess she's a big gatekeeper when it comes to the lore of the Hardy Boys. So I had to win her and my older brother over with JB.
That's so funny because lots of my friends are the same way. Like once they're like, oh, there's this new show coming out, Kira, what do you think? And I'm like, I'm very excited about this for a number of reasons. And it's funny
What's
because
like
they'd be
your
like,
history? When did you discover them? Like, what was your access point to it?
so my brother got Hardy Boys books when he was the right age. I got Nancy Drew books,
Oh,
and Nancy Drew didn't have enough peril for me. She's
too good
wonderful
for
and
you.
lovely, but
Yeah.
there wasn't enough peril. So I
Mhm.
would sneak into my brother's room
There
and steal
wasn't
his
enough
Hardy Boys
violence. There
books.
wasn't enough violence against children.
I apparently not. I knew what I was here for, and it just wasn't there.
Cool.
And yeah, I borrowed. The book would disappear off his bookshelf, and it would go missing for a week or so, and then it would show up on mine. And he claims to have known what I was up to the whole time, and just
Hmm.
yes, older sister, you do what you want. But when I moved out and handed him the box to carry out for me, he was like, "Aren't those mine?" And I was like, "Yeah, those haven't been your books for like years."
Oh.
And
Wow.
then yeah, I
Yeah,
walked
you served.
into an Edmonton pawn shop, and I found one of like these original copies. I say original loosely; those aren't even the originals. And they're two different storylines. And for someone with a background in publishing and an interest in working in publishing, I was like, this is so fascinating.
That's
And
pretty cool.
then yeah, I my interest just kind of spiraled, and then it was like I got to look at it academically. I get to, do a bunch of reading for fun. I talk about it at conferences. I don't really know how I get to do what I do, but let me tell you, it brings me joy.
Wicked. I love that. That's so sick.
Yeah. Um, you had talked about JB being one of the characters that wasn't originally in the books. And that is, they did that so well. So fascinating. I have so many wonderful things to say about the writing for this show. But I'm curious, like outside of the obvious, I guess, who you pulled inspiration from as you brought JB to life.
Um, I wish I had a great answer for you, but this actually might cover further questions. I might be doing amalgamation and with this answer.
Hey, let's do it.
But
Let's do it.
my answer kind of revolves around like a timeline.
All
And
right.
the casting process for this show,
Yes.
so like this is kind of where it all sort of begins, and I'll eventually by the end of it I'll have answered this question specifically. But I got like an audition request for the show for this specific character, and usually when you get audition requests for something, it'll say like in brackets next to the name the age range that they're looking for. And the age
Okay.
range for JB was like mid 30s to like 60. Like
Huh.
they wanted somebody older. They wanted like an older guy. And so
Okay.
I was like, what? And then I emailed my agents, and yeah, I don't know. I guess I was like 27, 26 when we started. I think we're on 26. Um,
Okay.
so my immediate question to my team was just kind of like, is this a mistake? Did you guys send me the wrong email? This doesn't make any sense to me. And they were like, no, you got direct requested from like one of the producers had produced a show I was on like 6 years prior. So when I was even young,
Okay.
but for
Of
some reason
course.
my name was being thrown around suddenly in the writer's room or something. Maybe it was a writer who said it might have been Mike Kiss who wrote on My Babysitter's a Vampire. It might have been him. I think
Ah,
he wrote on the
it's
first
all
season.
about who you know.
I love Mike Kiss. But the next thing I knew, I was just kind of in my apartment going like, oh, and it's like a next day. They need this audition for tomorrow. It's all happening very
Of
quick.
course they do.
And so I did the audition, and I forget who I read it with. But one of the questions before we started was like, are you going to read it like you're 50? Like, and I said no, and they said, but the character's 50. I said, I know, but I'm not, so I can't. I'm not. I don't think I'm going to be pretending, or they're going to put me in like old man makeup if I somehow do this. So I think I'm just going to do
Yeah.
whatever idea I have. And the writing was so good, and the dynamic between the character and Joe and Biff. I think my audition scene was them on
Okay.
the beach when my leg is all
Yeah.
messed up. Wow, I really do remember a lot of this show. This is kind
You do.
of
Full credit.
but it was like I just did it. I just kind of threw something out there. I wasn't drawing inspiration from anything. I was just kind of like, just acting, whatever.
Yeah,
Sent it,
as you
and then they
do.
they got back. It was either that night or the next morning, and it was like,
Oh, dang.
can you come in tomorrow for a fitting because we shoot next week. And I was like, oh, sure. So it was a remarkably fast turnaround, which is like fun and yeah, whatever. But to yes, then answer your question, did I draw on anything? I didn't really have time to, like, at
I
all.
was gonna say
It was
that's real quick.
it was extremely quick, and there was nothing to draw onto, which was actually kind of maybe weirdly a blessing because I then didn't have any time to actually like second guess any of what my natural instincts were towards like
Right.
character with. I just did a thing, and they were like, "Okay, you're hired." And I said, "Okay, great. We shoot in 4 days. I'm just gonna keep doing that thing that I did in my bedroom, and go with that." And originally, it was I think the character he was only written in like 2 episodes for season one.
Really?
Yeah, he ended up just kind of becoming something. Like he kept getting used. It was really he had like a 2 episode arc. He was gonna show up and then like disappear. And like, I don't know, maybe they had a plan for like, oh, in a couple seasons we'll see him again. But we everybody got on like a house on fire. And I think a part of the reason why I was brought back at really any like consistent capacity whatsoever is also because our good friend, dear sweet Rowan Campbell, star of the show. Uh,
Hmm.
he was in, this is a really long answer. I'm sorry, but I do have to say this part.
Please, I
But
love
he
this.
was
Yeah.
in, I did a show in Calgary when I was 21 called Young Drunk Punk that was on City TV. And I love that show so much. It's like my favorite thing ever. It's so stupid and so funny. It was such a good time. But I was very young when I did it. And one of the days shooting one of the episodes, there was like a group scene in a gym with a whole gaggle of like young and old people.
Hmm.
I remember there was this like extra there. There was this kid there who was like pretty chatty and like kind of cool. Like shook my hand, introduced himself. I was like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" And then here we are many years later, and that same Rowan Campbell is in his show, and he like saw my face or something on the cast list in the
Yeah.
production office. And apparently he just ran around to like Jason Stone, the showrunner, and just the producers and everything. Were just like, "Oh my God, you got like Atticus is in this show." And everyone's just kind of like, "Yeah, do you know him?" They're like, he's like, he's like, he's my favorite actor. He's like
Oh
the
my God.
best. So, I don't think I'm still Rowan's favorite actor by any means whatsoever, but I think they just kind of recognize an immediate like, oh, these guys get along. Like if this guy like likes Atticus, we should maybe bring him back for some more things, keep morale high, keep the fun times going. I don't really know. But yeah, credit wherever it's due to me continuing to work on that show for as long as I did miraculously. So yeah, I didn't draw on anything. I didn't. I showed up and we just had a good time. We just kind of all read the lines together. It was very original creation through and through.
So is it that just, I'm thinking about that timeline. Are things usually that quick?
It's all over the place. I mean, the thing about I can't really speak too much to like American film and TV or like across the pond or anything like that, but
Hmm.
Canadian film and TV, it's just not rare. Like it's pretty often, especially with like serial shows, everything happens so quickly. Like they'll be in pre-production for months, maybe even like years leading up to something. But as soon as the green light starts and like things are happening, a million things happen at once. A million things go wrong. You might have somebody in like an idea of somebody for a specific part, but they're suddenly not free, and you then have to go down a laundry list of like who do we place them with. And suddenly you look at the watch and you're like, oh, we shoot that scene though in 2 days. Like, and then it doesn't matter like how much prep you can possibly do. Like a million things can still go wrong, and you can still cast somebody 3 days before they were going completely change the age of the character that you had in mind because all I had heard when I went in and just went like, oh, this role said it was for somebody much older. They were like, yeah, and we had a bunch of older actors in mind who were like doing a good job, but it just kept coming across as like creepy. Like
Yeah, I can see that.
it didn't matter how like roguishly charming a guy was. It was just like you're still like 60 talking to these kids on the beach and you just
Yeah.
that's creepy. I don't really know. And somehow I managed to not creep it, but yeah. But it was it was a quick, fast thing. But yeah, normally I don't know. It's all over the place. Sometimes you get like way too long to prep something and you book something and then it shoots like 6 months later. And then other times, yeah, you get a job and you go to work the very next day. There's no
So
real
you
rush.
either have lots of time to overthink something or no time to overthink
Exactly.
something. I
There's
love
never any
that.
time in between. Nothing whatsoever.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. We've talked a lot about that, like JB on the beach. Did you have like a favorite JB moment?
Um,
Or
okay,
is
now
there like
this is
one
where we're
moment
gonna
that
run
just
into
comes to
trouble.
mind?
This is where
You're
we're
like,
gonna
I
run
need
into
a
trouble because
second.
well, I don't remember much. Most of my because you're asking about like story beat wise, like do I have a specific like JB
It can be story beat wise.
that
It can
that
be just like a particular line that you're like, that was a lot of fun. Particular moment where you were shooting, something that you
uh
really enjoyed, something that sticks out.
story beat wise, really any of the oh yeah, there was actually it can probably be both. Like I mean story wise and like the actual filming of it. Everything was great. Everything was fun all the time. Everybody does a great job in that show. The ensemble is so great. They really nailed the
Oh
casting of
yeah.
everybody, and they cast a bunch of like good people, good kids, just great. Like it would annoy me a lot of the time. Anytime I'm working now, is I'm not old or anything, but I'm like older. But working with young people who really get it and get it like way more than I ever got it. Like I started when I was about 15 and you know, you work with the odd like 10-year-old here and there and they're just like they got gravitas in their voice for some reason when they're saying something and they're able to just like burst into tears on a moment's notice. And I'm like, who taught you? Where did you get this?
Right? You're like,
Where
excuse
was
me.
this when I needed it? When I was, oh my God, it's crazy. And they're like, Alex was a superstar of that entire show. Like the amount of times they needed that kid to cry and he could just
Right?
pull it out of a hat. Brilliant, throwing the same, like their whole dynamic was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the question?
A JB moment.
Just a JV
Something that you
moment.
really enjoyed.
But it's the fun ones that were like the best. Like I remember there was I forget what season it was, but we were all doing stuff on like a old ship in a stockyard, and I think we had to do like a quick fight scene or whatever.
Yeah.
And just anytime there was a dynamic with the three of us, because I think that's where like the most fun was definitely had. It was fun to just have like you never truly knew whose team JB was like super on. Like he definitely cared about these kids a lot, but he's always got his
Oh
own thing
yeah.
going on. And Joe just like loved this guy and thought he was the coolest. And then you had Frank who was just like, this guy sucks. Sucks so bad. Why do you keep hanging around him? This is annoying. I'm so annoyed. This is the worst. And so I just found that it's a hate triangle pretty much between the three of them. So there was like that sequence, but also there was a I think in the last season, there was like a museum, not a heist, but we had to go find
The
some.
museum robbery. Yes.
Yeah, then we had to like cut behind a painting or something to see what was behind it.
Yeah.
Just the filming of that, I don't know what was in the air, but maybe it was like late at night or something, and we just could not get through
Oh
any of
no.
what we were saying. I think it just spurned off of like something somebody said by accident on like an early take, and then we were just really never able to. It'll be interesting like for anybody watching the show or like go back to that episode, maybe you'll be able to see like the odd smile that they're like trying to edit around and like quickly cut away from. But there I think I screwed up a line on like an early take and Rowan like fell apart, and then not even gonna really go into Alex and acting with Alex because it wouldn't matter what scene we were doing. He would laugh at whatever I'd say all the time, constantly. And he would just tell me, like, after a take, he's just like, I can never keep it together with you. I'm like, you know, we're doing a sad scene. Like, I'm trying to act. I'm trying to do a good job. And he's like, yeah, but you're just such a clown. You're such like a big idiot. I'm like, what?
You're like, no, but it's funny.
I'm trying to do my job. Yeah, crazy. But oh, wow, I really should I tell this story? Yeah, I should tell the story. It's really cool because the show's over now. This is simply just I don't even think this is like this is one of my favorite stories because it was really stressful and bad. But before we did I think it was season 2 or 3, whichever one opens with JB being all like beat up at the beginning of the season. Like his face is all messed up.
Oh, yeah, season 2,
Season
I
two.
think.
And the guys are like, "What happened to you?" He's like, "Nah, don't worry about it." And it's just like, "Oh, it's JB. He got into some trouble. He got all
Yeah.
smacked." And viewers might notice, like, we never really get into what happened to JB or why his face was all messed up. And there's a very normal answer for that. That's because
Oh,
that's because that was real. The day before I shot my first day on season 2, I was in a bike accident.
ooh.
And I was in a bike accident in the garage of my condo in Toronto. And I flipped over my handlebars and I
Oh my
smacked
God.
my face and slid on the ground.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this is how twisted and messed up the film industry is and what it does to your brain because I fall off. I don't fall off. I fly off my bike and I smacked and I immediately jump back up and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm feeling my face and like I screwed myself up. I got smacked. And my first call, immediately I pull my phone out and I call my agent. And I don't know what's happened to me, but I call my agent. I go, "Hi, um, I just flew off my bike and I smacked myself in the face on the concrete, and I know I have to film tomorrow. I don't know how bad this is, but can we get like production on the line? Can I talk to Jason? Can I talk to Jason Stone?"
Yeah.
Like, what the hell happened? What is going on? And I run upstairs and like, yeah, it's bad. You can literally see it in the show. That is all real because what me and Jason and I mean the whole team really, it was like a snap. We got to make a judgment call here because it's not so easy usually to just simply reschedule filming. Like I'm in
Yeah.
for the next 3 days. We have locations that are set that we have to shoot at. We have schedules that have to be like pretty strictly abided by for the most part.
Mm.
And it takes a lot to really change something around. And I know this, I've been around for a while. So they say, well, it's not like we have a choice. Like, we do have to shoot tomorrow. Are you like physically able to? And I go, yeah, I absolutely can. I'm definitely messed up. And they were like, well, could we put makeup over this? I said, no, absolutely not. That will actually like probably hurt me a lot. And I'll just look weird. Like, I will look strange. It'll look like
Yeah.
you're putting makeup and I look like the Elephant Man. Like, this is not gonna go well. And so I suggested, why don't, since I haven't shot anything yet, and this character, it's not like we're starting the season and this happened to Rowan or Alex or like
Yeah.
Biff. Like the season starts and Biff fell off her bike and she's all messed up. It's like, well, that's a little bit different. But JB, there is cause that this could happen. And then they were like, yeah, we'll just
Yeah.
shoot it. And then they ended up matching injury makeup to what happened to my face so that there
Oh
was
my
still
God.
consistency as we then went and shot that season. So they took a bunch of photos of my face. The next day, I just did it. I had like bit through my lip. So I was like super swollen.
Oh my
Like, oh
God.
no. And then they had this great idea to like give me more lines that day. And I was like, that's dumb. I can barely
You're like,
talk.
guys, my face hurts. Leave me alone.
But it ended up working out. It was kind of baller. It was pretty rock and roll. And I just showed up the next day completely messed up. And I was like, let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready to shoot. This feels very bucket listy almost.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. So actually, no, I would put that in the category of like, honestly, weirdly enough, like maybe a favorite moment because not the accident itself, because that sucked, but how
Yeah.
down everybody was to work with it and just take it and run with it. I was like, that's cool. I feel like a lot of people just kind of like freak out and either like change the schedule or like insist like we need to put makeup over this. Like, no, it's gonna be too hard. But it was like the writers' room was talked to, and it just ended up being a team effort of okay, this happened. We deal with it. It's in the past. Let's move forward and just like use whatever happened to me in the show. And yeah, it's cool that everybody, I guess that most people thought that it was like not real, which is hilarious.
Yeah. That's
But yeah, that's a real injury.
ow.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that really hurt.
Okay, but like, Bike accidents are, I was cycling not that far from where I live actually,
Mm.
and car culpa didn't stop, decided to plow right through me. And I'm like, I left without even a bruise.
I think what happened to you that day, the opposite happened to me tenfold, and it was like a Mothman prophecy type of thing. A
Oh
butterfly
man.
flapped its wings in Vietnam,
Yeah,
and I
right?
fell off my bike and almost died, and you were like totally fine. It's just the way it works. I feel like we're connected that way.
I love it. I love it.
Anyway, that's my long-winded story. Sorry,
Hey,
I'm making this podcast take forever. I need to shut up. I thought I wasn't going to remember anything, and I'm remembering like way too much. This is
this
bad.
is glorious. It's important to remember. It's having everything come all back. You're like,
Yeah,
ah, I get to remember how much fun this was.
yeah,
I love it. Okay. You talked about them like adding lines for you.
yeah.
I am the worst. I cannot memorize anything for the life of me. Like when they give you these extra lines and they're like, okay, three, two, one, go. What is your process for keeping all of that straight in your head?
Um, for the most part, I mean, I think it's a different strokes kind of thing. I think every actor kind of approaches memorization differently. Like I'll talk to, very storied, really, really good actors that I work with, like legends of the screen. And like they still to this day, like it's a struggle to memorize anything. I know Tom Cruise, like he has to listen to his lines on audiobook or something. He has to have them recorded, or else he just he can't memorize by
Yeah.
looking at something. But when it comes to me, I think namely starting to work from the age of 15, just like working consistently, you sort of just make things a habit, and the
Right.
process of memorizing sort of like it can just kind of become sort of second nature-y. And that's not to say that I'm like a great memorizer and I'm really good at it. It's never a problem. Like my thing is and it's at its simplest terms in the way I can like best describe it. I have like a pseudo sort of photographic memory, I think is the best way to put it.
Okay.
Like when I either get sides for an audition or I'm looking at a script and I'll see the scenes that I'm in, I will kind of almost take like snapshots of like the pages or whatever. I'll know
Hmm.
what's happening in the scene, and I'll end up knowing, which I think is kind of maybe the secret weapon and like the most important part is if you really know what the other characters are saying,
Right.
it makes your life a lot easier. Just like base memorizing what your lines are is like half the battle. Because if you don't know when you're supposed to say them or what you're even really responding to, because
Yeah.
I do feel that like listening is kind of the best way to actually memorize because you're constantly just getting cues of what you're going to say next, a lot of the time based on what somebody else is saying. And so that sort of method, I think, has really driven most of the success I've had when it comes to just kind of like picking something up and getting in your head, reading it a bunch of times with somebody so that it just kind of becomes second nature. But of course, with that, uh, the flip side is yes, I'll kind of know how a scene lives and breathes, and I'm able to kind of just memorize that. But when it comes to my own actual lines, they will always make sense,
Hmm.
but they're so rarely word perfect. And I run into this constantly on basically I feel like everybody would know this about me if they worked with me. They're just like, yeah, he's a great time. Everyone loves hanging out with him. His lines are kind of all over the place. Like, yes, they always make sense. The intention is always there. He's always going to say what the line is saying, but not perfectly. Like the words are going to get kind of mixed around. Maybe sentences will be later on than they maybe should be. Um, and so that is the one thing that like I'm really working on, but it's kind of on the day, I'll just have a script supervisor really hounding me over my shoulder, like, okay, you're supposed to say this word here and not there. And I'm like, yeah, I got it. Next take, I don't got it. I make the same mistake over and over and over again. But it's just different. It's different for everybody. I've got a friend the other day who like she can't really get anything in her head without writing it down physically. Like she needs to transcribe it and put it in her own legible writing, and then it just like sticks in her head and she gets it. And like I don't do that. It doesn't really work for me. But yeah, different strokes. It's it's a fickle beast, the act of memorization. It's very strange.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I was that person that your friend is. I anytime I needed to memorize something for
Yeah.
university, I'm like, I have to write it down.
Yeah, which I think is actually good because it keeps you handwriting. I so rarely handwrite anymore. We live in the world is too future. You can quote me on
Right?
that. That's the coolest thing I've said in so long.
But you're totally right because I spend so much time. I just bought I bought a new keyboard for my work office, and I'm like, this is I don't know how to type anymore because everything is just slightly different than the one on my laptop or the one at home, and I'm like, I just miss or like I'll show up to a meeting and I'll bring my physical notebook, and people are like, you could just like have AI record this, and I'm like, A, that's weird,
Ugh.
and B, no.
No, imagine if we still lived in a world where like typing was like a paid skill.
Right?
I'd have million billion dollars by now. I'd be the richest typist in the world. It would be I
Yes.
wish. Oh my God, born in the wrong era, I tell you.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny. Um sorry, I'm thinking about I guess what it's like to film in Canada, in Toronto, like being I I'm using a bunch of terms that I don't really like. Being on location. I was in Toronto not that long ago, and I remember being like, I wonder where all of this filming actually occurs and what that looks like.
Great city. More and more keeps filming here. It's like a strange reckoning currently happening at the moment. But Toronto is we've got a lot of studios in and around this city.
Okay.
So like a lot of Hardy was filmed in studio. Their house was all a set, multiple sets
Oh.
inside of a studio space. Like along the lake shore in Toronto, there's a bunch of different studios. The more west you go, closer to Mississauga, there's a bunch of studios over there. It's like a studio city almost. The big one is Cinespace currently, where a bunch of like Netflix shows shoot. I'm shooting a show there right now, as a matter of fact. And but Toronto itself also still is doing great when it comes to like on location shooting. It is such a, I mean, it's great. It's also sad, but it's such a good stand-in for other cities.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
so many neighborhoods look like so many different places. There's a ton of like nature in and around here. It's just like a beautiful space overall, but also just in and around Ontario. Hamilton's a great place to shoot. You go to places like Carlisle and Dundas and everything, a bunch of like old houses, a bunch of, open like forestry areas with like nice rivers and stuff. And so we just have a lot on offer that I think a lot of productions like it really fits the bill what they're looking for. Same with Calgary. Calgary is a big one. Lots shoots in Alberta.
Hmm.
If anytime somebody's looking for a stand-in for like, the American West or the American South, like a lot of the time you'll look, they're shooting in Alberta. They're shooting in Calgary. They're shooting in and around there. And Vancouver is like, God, everything shoots over there. It's beautiful over there.
Right?
The
I
mountains are such a good backdrop for like
Yeah.
everything. So yeah, Canada is we really kind of found our leg up in this industry when it comes to stuff like that, and it's very cheap to shoot here. Our dollar sucks, and the tax credits we give when people shoot here is like we're so generous. We're like, thank you for even considering us to work here. Wow, we're so grateful.
It's
Uh,
the polite Canadian in us.
Exactly, but it really works. But the best is when, like the city itself is actually like people are purposefully shooting here and the city is like part of the production. Like I just saw, I mean, I've been a huge fan for a long time, but Nirvana the band, the show, and Nirvana the band, the show, the movie, is out
Hmm.
currently. I've seen it and I'd like to go a second time, but like that's those two guys, Matt and Jay, are using Toronto as like a character in the show, in the movie. Like it's such an
Yes.
integral part, but it's just such a deep and diverse and varied town that I find it lovely to shoot here. I always count myself very lucky. Like I get to live here and I also get to work here at the same time. I get to like go to my own apartment and sleep in my own bed after work. And
Hey, that's important. We like
it's the
that.
best. It's wonderful. It's so great. But yeah, it's no nuts. We're doing pretty good so far, I think.
Amazing. And it's funny too, because I lived in Vancouver for 8 months while I did my master's program.
Mhm.
And after living in Vancouver, watching it's funny, watching TV that was done in Canada, I'm like, oh, they filmed that at SFU. Oh, I that's literally behind the building I used to live in. Like I find it's interesting. I almost find myself taken out of the show because I'm like, oh, I walk down that street. I know where that coffee shop is. And I do that with shows in Vancouver. And now that I've been to Toronto a couple of times, I'm starting to be like, oh, I recognize that.
Yeah.
And it's fun because it also I feel like as a viewer, it gives you a little bit extra connection too, because you're like,
Yeah, for sure.
this is a
It's
place
like
I
it's like it's
know,
like seeing yourself in it to a certain degree. Uh,
right?
yeah, and Hardy, it was great. I mean, I remember we shot for a week at like U of T in and around the campus, University of Toronto, which is just like some of the most beautiful architecture in the city.
Right?
And so I had never like, I didn't go to university. Um, so I never actually like went to University of Toronto, but I got to work there. And it was just the coolest experience of like, oh, I live like up the street from this place. And it's just like the most beautiful thing. And we were working while people were still going to school. So it was,
Right.
yeah, very, very sort of meta, lovely Toronto core memory experience. It was pretty cool.
I'm having a little internal moment of celebration because I gave a conference presentation actually about the Hardy Boys at the University of Toronto
What?
last year. I know. And I remember walking through and being like, this feels very familiar. And I couldn't figure out why.
It
And I
was
just figured
because
out
of the
why.
thing
And
that
I'm
you were
like,
there to talk
yes,
about.
that
Yeah,
is
that's
so
sweet.
funny. Oh my
That's
God.
right on.
We've talked a lot about like the industry. And I feel like one of the things I'm trying to do with this podcast is kind of jump into a bunch of different industries and break it down in a way that people can understand. Because I feel like there's a lot of, filming. It's this big, dramatic, wonderful. And I'm sure it is this big, wonderful, dramatic thing. But
Can be.
are there pieces of the industry that I guess you wish more people knew, or like really big assumptions that people are like, I don't even know what people assume about the film industry, but like, is there something about the film industry or something about being an actor that you wish more people understood?
Um,
I'm coming at you with the big questions
I
now. You're
wish.
like, I don't know what to do with this.
I mean, I just don't. Well, I don't really know what people like necessarily assume these days. I just feel like in this day and age, like everything is online all the time. Like
That's
you you
true.
you see you read so much about actors and about movies, depending on your algorithm, I guess. But I feel like it's not really like the most mysterious of jobs and industries anymore. And everything's like kind of out there all the time for public consumption and for people to kind of pick apart and see the ins and outs of like every aspect of this thing. But I guess that's the thing, like every aspect being like how much goes into making something. I still don't
Yeah.
know if like people really like wrap their heads around that, like how much of a ridiculous team effort it really all is. Like it's remarkable anytime I am lucky enough to actually work on something and go do it. It's like even like that first day, that first process of even going for just a like a wardrobe fitting, a week and a half, 2 weeks before you start. And you walk into the wardrobe offices and it's just rows and rows and rows of all of these different clothes. And there's tags on them to show like these are who this is each character. Each character has their own like closet, basically. And you got people coming in and out and trying all these clothes. And you got 6 or 7 wardrobe department people. You got the head of them, they're in the booth with you. They're like, okay, no, like, we're gonna put all these together, and then you're there for like could be 3 hours or so trying all these different fits, and then you wrap that up. You get an idea of like what your character is going to look like, and they're like, okay, and then we got our next person, like the next person in the cast is here. They're going to do it now, and it's like they have to just wardrobe alone. They're going through
Jeez.
every single aspect of the cast, and like everybody has to look a certain way. Like everything outside of the in moment like acting
Hmm.
is planned, is meticulous, is a team effort. It's all there. It's all been prepped in advance, and it really just does like take a village. And like that's, I guess, what I would want to kind of shine a light on is then like, yeah, you go, you have your first day and there's just the entire crew. There's lighting, there's gaffers, there's key grips, there's the whole camera team, there's everybody who's then coming around and being like, hey, can I get you like a grapefruit? And I'm like, yeah, I'd love a grapefruit. Oh my god, I didn't know that was part of this job. This is a job. This is the coolest thing ever. And it's remarkable. It's like the opposite of too many cooks. It's like you need that many cooks in this kitchen or else it really just doesn't work. And it's a really beautiful thing. It's so many crews I've worked with, is just like, that's been, cast and crew is always just my favorite part about this job. And like, when you're struggling with like the artistry or your own craft, or your like, imposter syndrome surrounding your own talent level, or what you're coming into a thing with, who you're working with, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing as good of a job, I think, blah blah blah. I find it very, very helpful to kind of block that out and just like look around the room every once in a while and just be like, we're all here, we're doing a job, it ain't that serious. Like, let's just enjoy this for what it is. It's a great time. It's kind of a miracle of like human group think and cooperation. And I think it's a really beautiful thing. It's what keeps me coming back. It's really cool.
I feel like you've just changed the way I think about imposter syndrome, and I love that
Whoa.
because
I wasn't even listening to myself when I said that, so I don't even know if I helped myself.
I don't know. I was listening. That was very helpful for me because imposter syndrome is this real massive thing for so many
Yeah,
people, and sometimes
yeah,
it is important to take that step back and be like, "We're just all here having a good time."
yeah. It's important to it's you gotta let yourself enjoy things for the love of
Right?
God, or else what's the point?
Right? Oh my gosh. All the talk about wardrobe got me thinking about the setting for the Hardy Boys and being set in the 80s, which is so funny because the more people that I tell about this show, and I talk about this show a fair amount, they're like, okay, Hardy Boys, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, oh, it's set in the 80s. And they're like, oh, it's set in the 80s. I need to watch it then. And I'm like, it's so interesting that that is the hook that gets people in.
Yeah, the 80s
Um,
came back in a big way. Thank you. I guess it's like Stranger Things really kind of started
yeah,
that ship. Thanks,
I
Stranger
don't
Things.
know. The music was
And the
one of
music.
my favorite pieces, and
Yeah.
just the way that all
Forget
of those
what's I
different
forget the
pieces
name
were
of our
tied in.
composer.
Oh my
He was
God.
very good. The music in the show was pretty great.
Yeah. And like I remember um JB's choice of music on the radio for 8675309.
You
I
do? I
I
don't.
do because I was like I died. I'm like this is perfect and amazing and I would like to personally thank the composer for doing
Oh,
this because it was
wicked.
amazing.
Okay, right on.
Just and like you said it's all of those different pieces that tie in together to create this beautiful like moment.
It's a tapestry. It's a mosaic. It's great.
I might tie us back to the show
Sure.
for a minute, if I may. Um, and talking because you talked at the very beginning about this super entertaining little like friendship rivalry triangle of hate. I think you referred to it
Mhm.
as with JB and Frank and Joe. Did you have like a favorite? Or I guess what was the most fun part of that for you? Was the fun part? I guess acting wise, dealing with JB dealing with Frank and his what are you doing, or dealing with Joe and his you're the coolest thing since sliced bread.
It was. I always thought that the best moments were kind of like the combination of all of them and all of us working that dynamic at
Hmm.
once. Rowan and Alex are just like such good actors that it was extraordinarily easy to just kind of like really riff on the dynamic that we just kind of like kept establishing with every single episode. And there are multiple scenes where like stuff gets really serious, and like
Yeah.
there's really a lot at stake. And even that was like just as fun as doing the goofy rivalry stuff. But yeah, I think when it comes to the JB and Joe dynamic, a lot of it was it felt very mentor and mentoree kind of like. I think that JB, obviously, I mean, I think he has a bunch of lines in like his death episode, spoiler alert, where he's really talking about how much like Joe reminds him of himself. And he's just like,
Yeah.
that's why I like you. Like you're after my own heart. Like you're into the same things that I'm into.
Yeah.
And Joe would be like the first to agree. And then when it came to Frank, I think there was a lot of like respect from JB's end, just how protective Frank was of Joe. And it's like, I do the exact same thing, regardless of how you keep tripping me up and like you keep getting in my way of like exactly what I want. And yeah, how I'm trying to use this kid for like my own
Yeah. Like,
gain, my own
excuse me,
goals.
let me
Like
do
you
this
are
thing.
like you're correct. You are right. But like I still love you guys. Like I really do. And it takes him, honestly, like until the last episode, until that's actually like he literally sacrifices himself for them. Like he jumps the
I
first
know.
bullet, and it's just like, oh my, like if there was anything that would then, I guess, change Frank's mind, where he goes like, oh my god, okay, I guess JB was actually all right because he's lying down, just covered in bullets in his own blood. Like,
Yeah.
okay, he was all right. All right, I'll
It's
give it.
like, all right, fine. You've proved yourself now. I'll give it to you.
Right. But it was that, it was the constant bouncing between the two. But I feel like in the moments where like it really mattered and the truth was out, or at least on from JB's end, and it was up the other two to either accept it or not. I thought those were always like the most fascinating dynamic components of what was going on with these guys, and just the foil that like JB kind of served as a character for them. I thought
Hmm.
was cool and was the most interesting to kind of like extrapolate and break down and build upon. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say that.
I love that. Perfect answer. 10 out of
Again,
10.
again, I'm shocked I remember all of this. I thought I was going to be floundering. Just be like, oh, JB and what was the other kid's name? Joe? Joe, right? John? Not John. John and Fred? Frank and Joe. Oh, yeah, those guys. They were great. They had a great time. Wonder what they're up to.
Oh man. I have to say, I'm so glad that you brought up I'm so glad that you brought up JB's death, because I have a
Oh,
lot of thoughts on that from like a writing perspective, because I don't know how much you remember of the Hardy Boys when you were a kid, but there is not a lot of death in those
nope.
books, and that was done very purposefully. And I remember watching JB's death the first time and have I was like, okay, hang on, how are they going to undo this? I'm like, this is the Hardy Boys. You can't kill people in the Hardy Boys. Like, excuse
Yeah.
me. And then it was because I mean, in lots of television, it's very like, oh, it's, it didn't actually happen that
Yeah.
way. It wasn't that. And I don't know, it was so permanent. I'm like, excuse me.
Hmm.
On one hand, I'm like, this is the perfect ending to a character arc. And on the other hand, I'm like,
Yeah. How dare
rude.
they? Yeah.
Excuse
And
me.
then there was some, I mean, I honestly, I kind of forget a lot of what happened after that, but I know like he was in the Matrix at one point or something.
Yeah.
He shows up again and like Joe thought it was real or
Well,
something. He's
and
like,
then
"Oh,
that's how Joe
there."
figured out it wasn't real. It's
Yeah, because JB was there. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that the death happened. I am so I wish it didn't happen. I had a ton of fun. I wish they didn't kill me off.
I mean, how does that feel as an actor to
Oh,
waltz in one day and find out that this is going to happen?
I've died in so many things, and it's always it's fun. It's fun every single time. Um, because like a lot of the time, and it's great. I keep kind of being given like heroic deaths, like
Yes,
sacrificial ones.
we
Um,
stand a heroic death.
which all at once is like, oh, it's a big moment. It's always in whatever you're doing. It really kind of brings the audience to like, even if you're playing a character who's like despicable, if you have a heroic death where you're sacrificing yourself, they're like, okay, that guy, oh, damn, we're sad now, that guy rocked, maybe he should have been around longer. So it's always a good way to get people to like you as an actor or something. And it's also a great way to suddenly find yourself, you have like way more free time than you anticipated, and you get to like hang out in real life more. which I'm saying sarcastically because I like working a lot, and it's actually that's the sad part about being killed off from something is you don't get to go to work every day. But in this case, this was one where it just kind of straight up, I was like, oh, this is great. This is really good. I think this works like pretty well, and was I don't even know what to attribute it to, but um I forget who I had talked to, but I think it was in like the first season. We were just I think it was me and one of the writers, and it was just like hedging bets. And I think I just said, like, so when are you going to kill this guy off? And they were like, oh, we can't. Like, he's so fun. We love you. And I'm like, yeah, that's why the death would be so good.
Yeah.
He's got like I don't see this going anywhere except for him like sacrificing himself to save Joe. And then here we are a couple seasons later. I was like, aha, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew
So
it.
how long until you start working in a writer's room then?
I know they should credit me. No, they shouldn't credit me. I ad lib too much. I take away from how good of a job they do. I'm really bad at that. But no, I thought it worked well, and even in practice, like it was. I'm one of those guys who does not really watch any of what he is in, but I did watch that episode, and I thought
Interesting.
it was handled like beautifully. I thought it was great.
Oh yeah.
It was really good, and like Alex's acting in that scene was really, really, really good. He owned it. The slow mo they used, I was like, oh my god, you couldn't execute this like any better. It's so sweet. It's so sad. Oh my god.
Right?
Yeah, and just really good for the show that Hardy was like trying to be. Like I know you were saying about, it's a book series where like nobody dies, but like clearly the show is taking like so many liberties already and is really kind of carving its own path. I was like, yeah, these kids, it's all coming of age, but these kids do gotta grow up. And like this is one of the big hurdles. Like they gotta obviously, what's going on with their parents. It's just like loss and loss and loss. But like
Yeah.
actually, maybe JB didn't need to die. Maybe that was like a step too far when it came to how sad everything was for
I
these
don't know.
guys.
That loss felt personal. I'm like, excuse
Oh,
me. Like
now
the
that I'm
rest of
talking
them,
about it
like I
more.
get it. This one I was like, that one hurt just a little bit more than it needed to. But you're totally right about the show kind of taking its own path, and it pulled like, there are very few people I think that could go through and be like, oh, that's a reference to this obscure book from 1974. But I had a lot of fun with that, being able to be like, oh, I know where you pulled that character name from. I understand the connection between these different
Yeah.
pieces.
Well, Jason,
Someone
well,
did so much research.
So like Jason Stone, like the showrunner. I mean, this was his baby from the beginning, and he was like my older brother. He was like you, like he read all of them front to back multiple times growing up. Still obviously like yeah, wanted to like do his own 80s spin on it, but
Yeah.
his dedication to the material, but not doing it from a just like I'm just going to tell these stories and in just like word for word, bar for bar, and just then that's it. But like to kind of take them and share them through his own lens is I think really it's very brave. Like it's always
Oh
risky.
yeah.
They just did it for Wuthering Heights. Like Emerald Fennel basically
Right.
just did that for Wuthering Heights, and I went and saw that movie, and it was funny. Like I mentioned it to my friends after we saw it. I was just like that movie reminded me a lot of that show I was in, like the Hardy Boys, where it's like, well, this is really somebody's take on this
Yeah.
material, and I thought Jason just killed it. I thought it was just
Oh, absolutely.
super cool, very very interesting way.
Yeah.
And they
As a
do,
reimagining, it is stunning.
yeah.
Stunningly done. I guess probably two final questions. The first one is you've got a couple of really exciting upcoming projects. Is there anything that you can share, that you want to share, that you want to talk about, that you're excited
No,
about?
I don't have an NDA for anything. I think I can talk about whatever. Yeah, a few things. I mean, I've been in the last couple years, I've been splitting a lot of time between acting, lucky enough to act whenever somebody feels like hiring me for something. But I do a lot of music composition
Yeah.
on the side. And that is like slowly but surely turning more and more into an involvement in the scoring world.
Really?
Yeah, which has
That's
been like
awesome.
really, really cool. You know, working with like a lot of friends on things, and um, you know, I just joined like the Screen Composers Guild of Canada, and like, you know, doing my best to like meet who I can and shake hands and whatever. I always thought it was going to be like a much easier transition to go from like, I'm an actor, I'm already in this industry, but it's really, really hard to get into scoring. It's like
Hey,
crazy.
yeah.
A very exclusive club. But it's the beauty of coming at it from, you know, the standpoint I already have in the industry is all of the people I do know, all the friends I do have. And, you know, I worked with a wonderful actress named Ally McDonald on that Young Drunk Punk show I mentioned earlier, and she did a short film that premiered at the LA Film Fest last year that I did the music for.
Amazing.
And our very own Rowan, he is such a talented writer. He is so good, and like has, I think, a pretty fascinating actor director career ahead of him.
Oh,
And he just finished a show in Newfoundland, and I think one weekend just went and shot a short that he wrote that I am also doing the music for. He just asked me to do it, and so we've been working on that for a
amazing.
little bit, and it's beautiful. While also, yeah, my longest friend in the industry, Adam DeMarco, he has a musical side project as well, and I've been working with him and a couple other music producers to like do an EP together, just like doing as much as we possibly can. We're trying to write scripts together. We're doing a lot of stuff. So that's kind of where like at least the music side is at. But yeah, still acting wise, I'm shooting a show currently at that Cinespace studio and in around Ontario for FX, who it's my second venture with them. I did Fargo season 1 with them a long time ago, and now this show Cry Wolf, created by Sarah Treem. We are shooting that until I think like June, I think, and we started about a month ago. So in the thick of that at the moment. Very excited for that one. It's very much like when the audition for that one came in, I was like, oh, this is the best thing I've read in a very, 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 very
Amazing.
long time. It was one of those. It was just kind of like, oh my God, this is so easy to visualize. It's so easy to see. It just jumped right off the page. And it's just like the story it's telling, I think, is extraordinarily timely and very, very, very important. And so it's definitely quite the privilege to be a part of it in like any capacity whatsoever. Yeah, and then we'll go from there. We'll finish in June, and I'll try to get another job at some point, I'm sure.
That's awesome. There's lots of exciting things coming up.
Yeah, tons. Trying to make the most of 2026.
Exactly. Every year we gotta find the new cool fun things to do.
Exactly.
Finding the things that bring us joy.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, this has been absolutely amazing. Before we like officially close, is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything that you're like, yes, I wanted to make sure I said this one thing. You don't have to have anything. I just want to make sure that the opportunity is there.
This fight the power, free Palestine, protect trans kids, all that,
Yes.
like everything. Yeah, don't let fascism win, please, for the love of God. I don't know who listens to this podcast, but if any of this means anything to you guys, respect. Yeah, till I die, baby. That's it.
Oh my God, that is the perfect end note. I love it.
For real. Yeah, times are tough. We only have each other. Let's do this shit. That's the first time I swore. I swear all the time. I managed to get through this entire podcast without swearing until the very end. Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Oh, don't apologize. Are you kidding me? This is perfect.
It's great.
I love it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Friends, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's been such fun chatting with Atticus, and I want to take a moment to thank him again for his time, energy, and expertise. Until next time, this is Kira Drogue, host of Sleuth Studies, the Hardy Boys podcast, signing off. absolutely stunning original theme music you've just enjoyed was composed by Jeff Lee. Sleuth Studies is grateful for the support of Volunteer Alberta, the Canadian Red Cross, the Glocal Foundation of Canada, and the Government of Canada. For more information about Sleuth Studies, the Hardy Boys podcast, please visit www.sleuthstudies.ca or find us on social media @Sleuth Studies.